Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of E2KGn30. This is episode number 41 for Thursday, the 3rd of May, for the week ending 4 May 2018, and we are here with your weekly gaming news show, here to run down the biggest, most important, or most interesting to us news stories in the games industry for this past calendar week. Here with me, as usual, for 25% of the time, I think 33% of the time.
That's more mathematically accurate, I would think.
I have Mr. SwissGuard. So, Swiss, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good.
Good. Well, let's go ahead and run things down very quickly, as we are always want to do in the news blender. Swiss, take it away.
All right, so our first story this week is I got from Eurogamer. Nintendo's next smartphone game is a big surprise. So, following on Nintendo's reveal of Dragalia Lost earlier today, a new trailer has emerged. So they announced this game called Dragalia Lost, and shortly thereafter they put the trailer out. It is basically what looks like an action RPG. Right now the trailer is still all in Japanese. Anime style characters, very conventional RPG looking title. Hits all the JRPG tropes it's already looking like. So, but the key piece of information is that it will be released for smartphones. Zeus, you have another game announcement?
Yep. Excuse me. Yes, over on videogamesblogger.com, I picked up a news story that particularly interested me. Trailblazers launches this month for PlayStation 4, PC, and Xbox One, and in June for the Nintendo Switch. So I'm always keeping my eyes open for a good Nintendo Switch racing game. Trailblazers, which is a co-op arcade racing game, will launch for the PlayStation 4 and PC on May 8th, Xbox One on May 9th, and Switch in June, publisher Rising Star Games announced. Trailblazers is a tournament, basically, that features high-speed thrills with an explosion of color. It's the first ever second-to-second cooperative arcade racer, so there's team play dynamics between the two racers, including the ability to draft your partner and then slingshot past them and play head-to-head in competition against two other racers playing in co-op. Paint the track as you go to dynamically change the racing line, boost on your team's color, and out with the opposition in a sprint for the finish. The more you paint, the faster you go. So this game has kind of cutesy graphics. It's not really a hardcore sim or anything, but Swiss, you definitely have something
hardcore
that is much more in the vein of the hardcore. Yes.
So as many of you are probably aware, Dark Souls is being remastered for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. The PS4, Xbox, and the Nintendo Switch. PS4, Xbox One, and PC will be released on May 25th for $40. However, the piece of news that I have from GameSpot, Dark Souls Remastered PS4, Xbox One network test dates announced. So Dark Souls will be launching later this month, but some players will have the opportunity to try the game out ahead of its release. Bandai Namco has detailed this upcoming network test for Dark Souls Remastered, which is scheduled to take place next weekend on the PS4 and Xbox One. The network test will only be held on 2 days, May 11th and May 12th. Begins each day at 9 p.m. Eastern, runs for approximately 6 hours, concluding at 3 a.m. Eastern. The test is set in the Undead Parish area and allows players to summon partners or invade other players' games. To participate in the network test, you'll need to download a separate client from the PlayStation and Xbox stores before May the 9th. Those planning to jump in on Xbox One will need to have an active Xbox Live Gold subscription in order to take part in the test, while all PS4 owners will be able to participate. They do plan to have a network test for the Nintendo Switch, but it will be held closer to the Switch release date. Zeus?
Very cool. So next in the news blender is a story for all of you baseball fans out there. It is opening day. So earlier this week, actually, on the 1st of May, so on Tuesday this week, back on the normal release date that I am accustomed to. I'm very bamboozled and thrown off by these Friday release dates. But on Tuesday, it was opening day for Super Mega Baseball 2. Found this news story sourced over at Blues News. The arcade sports sequel from Metalhead Software for Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One, with the PC version available on Steam. They have a recent action trailer that shows the athleticism of your stumpy little players, and the announcement has details on the game and some new cosmetic DLC which accompanies the release. So we will talk about that in a little more detail later in the discussion segment, but for right now, Swiss, you are going to tell us about a Star Wars title?
Yes, this is, by the way, a very game-heavy news episode, which is a good thing, and it also reveals the kind of light news we've had this week. But yes, so I got this from siliconera.com. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer boosts onto PC on GOG. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer has been re-released on GOG 19 years after its original release. The game is a straight port of the original PC version and can run in 60 frames per second, and 1080p resolution through GOG's video settings. LAN multiplayer is also available for the GOG version, which means that up to 8 players can race against each other on the various twisting tracks. Okay. And you have the final story for the night.
Yes. So final story for the night is concerning a well-known title that probably lots of listeners out there are playing, potentially. God of War. So over on the PlayStation blog, news story, God of War sells over 3.1 million units in 3 days. Let me say that one more time. 3.1 million units in 3 days. Becomes the fastest-selling PS4 exclusive. Santa Monica Studios' bold new vision for the legendary PlayStation series has won over players and critics alike. One of the PlayStation's most iconic series is reaching new heights this week, thanks to all of you, our fans. Again, I'm quoting directly from the article. God of War has become the fastest-selling PS4 exclusive, with more than 3.1 million units sold globally in the first 3 days. I would actually be surprised if it weren't the fastest-selling PlayStation exclusive, regardless of platform. But we will come back and discuss that in a little more detail, because that's going to do it for the 6 stories that were in the news blender. So let's move on to the discussion segment of the show. Swiss, let's talk a little bit more about this Nintendo smartphone gaming game.
Right. So the reason I picked this story was I would not have, except it came on the heels that we heard they made something like $300 million in their latest financials from, I want to say it was the past year, from their smartphone apps. And that's, I guess, would be Super Mario Run and Fire Emblem Heroes, I think, is the smartphone title. But so I've always kind of viewed the smartphone game for Nintendo as secondary. And after I heard that, I figured, oh, they're probably going to be pushing that more. And now we have not only a new title announced, but it's its own new franchise. So they haven't figured out yet whether it's, going to be free to play or kind of you pay all up front, because it's basically just been a slight teaser trailer in Japanese. But it looks like a very conventional JRPG. So I'd be eager to see if how I want to say gamer oriented it is. That's probably a terrible term, but
one thing I wanted to ask is so the verbiage in the title, next smartphone game is a big surprise, is from the site Eurogamer, right?
Yeah.
Is that your opinion that it's also a big surprise?
I think it's a surprise that I don't think people were expecting it, and it's a surprise that it's a brand new franchise. So, there's yeah, they've been, I think, there was an Animal Crossing game too, wasn't there? They've been kind of playing off existing titles and basically working off goodwill, and now they're going with a brand new IP. So it's got to stand on its own, and I think that could be considered a surprise.
Right. So it's new IP, but I feel like it's very very much cut in the same cloth as Fire Emblem, which was wildly successful in comparison to their other mobile phone applications, right?
I got a distinct like Tales series vibe, or like a Chrono. It's not even Chrono Trigger because it didn't look like turn-based. It was an action RPG. So you have multiple characters on the screen, and it was more of an action title. But so Fire Emblem, yeah. I would say the look and feel, you can definitely get the Fire Emblem vibe, but it's not a strategy title. It didn't appear to be that way.
Gotcha. So talk to me a little bit about the Star Wars game and explain to me why I need this. So this is more a surprise to me than Nintendo's mobile game. Like, haven't we already done is this pod racing again?
Yeah, I actually went to GOG's website and they have it as like their headline game right now, and they have like a like a banner that says, "Now this is pod racing." Do you remember the unfortunate quote from the original movie?
Right.
But
this isn't new, right? Is this? Yeah, it's a re-release.
Yeah, 19 years old. I had it for the N64.
Right.
Like I played this game a lot, but it's just like you said. Like why? Like why now? After I guess technically, we got Solo coming out, but even that doesn't tie into episode 1. So. Right. It's just kind of a random, oh, by the way, here, I have this game.
Well, what's interesting is, because one of my news stories that I reported on was Trailblazers, right? And in the last year, we've had the Wipeout Omega Collection. We had Red Out on PC, which made its way to Xbox and PS4. And we had, I play it all the time on the... and we had RMX on the Switch, which was a launch title of all things. So somewhere there seems to be this burgeoning. I hesitate to call it explosion because I'm like, you can only make so many of these games before you saturated the market. But there seems to be this big uptake in these futuristic, anti-grav, like hovercraft type racing games with a bunch of these sleek racers like in a tube. On a platform, twisting and going upside down and all that kind of stuff. I don't know what's behind that, or maybe they've just proven to sell very well, and a lot of people are trying to cash in on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have some variety because you got like a set of Corsa and all those that much more go towards realism. You're more tapped into the racing zeitgeist than I am. I always just the unexpected nature of the announcement was what got me for the most part. So, but what do we have next in the rundown? Is that can we jump to the Trailblazers, even though you had that last in the
sure, yeah. I mean, so it's
this kind of goes in that vein.
Yeah, so it's not really a super huge deal. I mean, again, it's another one of these games that's cut in that cloth, right? For PlayStation 4, PC, and Xbox One. I will admit they kind of feel like, I mean, I think we had a show last year where we talked about like seasonal games or games you'd like to play over the summer that seems to kind of thematically change the way gamers sometimes approach their gaming. And we felt like we've talked about it a few times, kind of once per season, right? That there are kind of these back to school games, and then there are these summer games, and then there are these these spring break games. These games do kind of feel like summer games. I
will say that in the summer of 1997 or 6 or 8, I played a lot of Diddy Kong Racing.
Yeah,
So
I can see that.
but
which is the thing we didn't mention, that I think there's a new Donkey Kong game coming out for Switch.
yeah,
This-
Tropical Freeze,
Right.
the re-release. The thing about Trailblazers that I noticed was it feels like some weird love child of Splatoon and arcade racing.
Yes, it's very, very Eastern-oriented design. It seemed like from the little tutorial dialogues that were popping up. What I thought was interesting was, again, kind of the cooperative nature of it.
But you're painting the ground, like you're literally. They call it Trailblazer.
Right.
You're blazing. You're painting the ground, and that's like you're working with your team to paint the ground to give yourself an edge. So I mean, every time you post like a racing article, I'm like, oh man, there's another racing article from Zeus, and then I read it and I'm like, oh wow, that's like a different take on it. I might want to actually check that game out. So
yeah, it might actually be. I mean, and the real reason I keyed in on it was because I saw that it was coming to Nintendo Switch, right? Which the Switch just kind of makes everything better. This with the possibility of, so the game modes offered are 3-on-3, partner races, solo sprints, and more. I mean, it makes it a game that could be a decent party game, right? Or a great, even really great LAN game, or an on-the-go instant LAN game, right? I could see packing up my Switch, taking it to a buddy's house, or out somewhere where a lot of people are going to have Nintendo Switches, and doing a local LAN and doing some 3-on-3. Like, that would be awesome. Better yet, if you could get 6 players and do, well, I mean, 3-on-3 against, in terms of PvE, or actual, 3-on-3 with 6 human players and play PvP.
The concern that I'd have is, like, definitely in a game like this, it really feels like you and your partner need to be on the same page. Like,
right.
With obviously in Splatoon, the higher level you get, you're actually trying to work as a unit. But most of the time you're playing turf war. As long as you're kind of trying to do your own thing and work towards a goal, there doesn't have to be as much coordination. And so this could definitely induce some rage quits, and I think, but we'll
one of the things that's super interesting about this is that it offers cross-platform play, and from the press copy, it sounds like there are some political shenanigans going on, because what they say is cross-platform play links PC/Mac/Linux players to either PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, Nintendo Switch players. So what it sounds like is that it allows, it sounds like PC, Mac, Linux, Xbox One, and Switch are cross-platform, and you could go into a match, and if everybody has cross-platform enabled, people could be on any of those 5 different platforms. But it sounds like if you're going from PC, Mac, and Linux, or we'll just say PC, to PlayStation, that's all that can be in the mix. Like PlayStation...
PlayStation cannot play with Xbox or Nintendo.
Right.
Xbox and Nintendo can play together.
Yes.
Which we were already seeing some of that, like little hints of that too. There was a story, I don't remember how far back, but there was a game or a set of games that, since the Switch doesn't have trophies or achievements, they're actually getting the achievements. They're getting achievements from the Xbox side.
Right.
Or the equivalent thereof, rather than the PlayStation.
Was that Rocket League?
I think so. I think that's probably the same situation now. I think, right? They do crossplay. Right.
Yep. So the next story in the rundown, or the next story in the discussion segment, is God of War sales. So God of War sells 3.1 million in 3 days. Becomes the fastest selling PS4 exclusive. I liked this story because it reinforces an argument that I have made many times in the past, that everyone raves about PlayStation exclusives, but from what I have seen, again, in past history, this generation I think might be starting to skew that data, but from what I have seen of sales metrics in the past, PlayStation had more exclusives of different types, and that encourages lots of different people to play on their platform. However, the individual unit sales for any one of those titles has typically been less than what the sales numbers were for a big Xbox title, because the Xbox exclusives in the past have not been as widely varied, but then your type of gamer that plays on Xbox is also not very highly varied. So when one of those things lands, right, when Halo lands, there's much larger uptake from a percentage total aspect on gamers on the Xbox platform than on the, so on the PlayStation platform, you'll find a lot of gamers, and you'll find little pockets of them that play any of those individual exclusives. But when a big exclusive hits Xbox, there's much more mass uptake by that entire platform population. So I just briefly kind of compared some numbers in the past. God of War is clearly not done selling, although I do, because it doesn't have multiplayer, I don't really know what the legs are for the volume of sales that God of War will experience much past its launch window. Like, beyond the first 90 days, I don't know, how many people are going to be picking up God of War, because that discussion is kind of going to be over. And it's really only people who are really interested in those deep single-player experiences that I think will be picking it up, after it's out of the zeitgeist. But Halo 4 sales numbers, or Halo 3 sales numbers were like 12 to 13 million. Halo 4 sales numbers were like 10 million. What I've seen when I've done research, again, talking about PlayStation 3 and before, 3 million units for an exclusive of a PlayStation exclusive was kind of about topping out. Again, in a generation, they would have many titles that sold those numbers, but Xbox would have fewer exclusives, but they would sell really big numbers. So,
I think Horizon Zero Dawn, didn't we hear that got up to like 7 million or something?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So very, very interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I haven't picked it up yet, but I'm strongly considering it. I know my brother-in-law did get it, but it seems like it's perfected. I don't want to say perfected, that's probably a strong word, but people have been really impressed with the that they've grown it a little bit, pushed it, modified it. The changes were refreshing.
Yeah. There's things to be said about that. So I think that might be, I don't know. We haven't settled on our agenda for next Tuesday's show, but I think there's more to the tale than maybe what a lot of people have said on the surface about a lot of things that are said about that game. Still a great game. I just think that some of the characteristics that other people, that the media beats the drum about, are maybe not as important as some of the other factors. But so Super Mega Baseball 2, we don't need to get into this into a ton of detail. Really, the only thing I really wanted to mention is that bring it to people's attention, right? Because I didn't even know about this game. The thing is, the MLB license is locked up on by Sony on the PlayStation. It's exclusive. That game doesn't come to any other platforms. There's really no other place to play baseball on a yearly basis except on PlayStation. This is your opportunity to do so. What I tweeted out about it earlier in the week is don't let the cartoony graphics fool you. Don't sleep on the cartoony graphics. I will admit, in the past, I've been a person who, if it looks too cartoony, it just doesn't interest me. But this is a deep baseball game. I'd almost hesitate to say, but maybe baseball simulation. It has lots of the things, if not all of the things that MLB does. And again, you can play this on a lot of different platforms. I'm really disappointed there's no word on it coming to the Switch, because again, this is the perfect kind of game for the Switch that I would love to be able to play on the go. But it might be interesting. I have memories of playing Sammy Sosa's High Heat Baseball 2001 on the PC in my early days of PC gaming. So the early days of my return to PC gaming, but that might be the place to play this. But I think what I'm definitely going to do, and I didn't mention it in the news blender, but this is a Games with Gold game this month for Xbox. So if you're on the Xbox platform and you're a gold subscriber, which apparently 56 million of you are, according to their financials report, you can pull this game down for free, and you absolutely should.
It's only $30 too.
Yeah,
when you actually like outside the games with gold, but so it's not a AAA price.
Right. Yeah, I'm giving strong thought to both getting it on Xbox and then actually paying for it. I've originally been thinking on Steam, but I'm wondering. Yeah, probably on Steam, right? Because I have MLB on the PlayStation, so that might be the route that I go. So talk to me about Dark Souls. Again, that game, the remastered version of that game, right, is coming to Switch?
Correct.
Yeah, so
mostly this is just, I picked this just because the game is on my radar. I've not played Dark Souls.
Neither have I.
And I'm planning on picking it up when it does hit later this month, or pick it up sometime next month. But why I picked this one is because I thought, well, they're putting this out there and you can get a little taste. I guess I get the sense that this isn't like a full-on demo of the game. I mean, obviously there's going to be some aspect in it, but they're not super presenting it like a demo. It's like, definitely they're calling it, the network test, but a lot of games have been doing that lately. And if anyone was interested in picking it up, you have most of a little less than a week to download the app before, not this weekend, but the following weekend, being able to tinker around in it for a little while. I don't really like that it's, time locked after 9 p.m. to 3 a.m., but it's not a demo. It's a network test. So.
Yeah, and some of the things that you mentioned and that I read in a similar article earlier in the day made me very curious. Like, I don't understand what this whole thing is of invading another player's game, so I'm kind of interested to see and understand better how that works. But yes, this again is probably dropping sometime over the summer on the Switch. The Switch version has been delayed.
Right.
I haven't seen a newly promulgated release date for it. But it's supposed to be hitting basically Memorial Day weekend for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping that the Switch, Switch is going to kind of miss prime territory again with not making a Memorial Day weekend release, which I feel is a time that a lot of people pick up games and get a big chunk of time put into them during the Memorial Day weekend. So maybe the Switch version will make it in time for Independence Day.
All right. I think that actually wraps it up. This was a light week.
Yeah. So I guess I would. So my feeling is it wasn't light. It's just that a large amount of the news was everybody's earnings reports that have been coming out since last week. And I know for us, we're planning on doing a quarterly financial special sometime next week, hopefully maybe on Monday. And so knowing that I was going to have to do a ton of research on that and do a 1-hour show probably on that or longer, I was not super interested in filling this up with a bunch of financial news minus the sales units of God of War. So that stuff is out there, or you can just watch us next week for viewers out there and catch up on all the financial goings on directly from us, as you do every week with these other news stories. So, Swiss, anything else that you want to convey to anybody before we get out of here?
Nope. Pretty sure I'm good to go.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, everybody. On behalf of the E2KG Network, SwissGuard, and myself, Agasicles from Gearworks.com, and the Rounding Off Infinity Gaming channel on YouTube, that is episode number 41 of E2KGn30, your weekly gaming news fast for the week ending 4 May 2018. Thanks so much for joining in tonight. Catch up with us next week, same time, same place, and also catch our core show on Tuesday evenings, our weekly gaming discussion show where we either discuss our playlists and what we've been playing for the last couple of weeks, or take on a big philosophical/intellectual topic in gaming culture, or just gaming as a hobby, and spool on it for about an hour. So thanks so much for joining in. That's going to do it for us. We are out of here.